ya, henny ya, henny ya, yo, ho 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 ho, henny ya, henny ya, henny ya, away ya, henny ya, oh, henny ya, she lives. That's the baby song, and that's the way I'm beginning this theme. I have a penchant for, evidently, finding petroglyphs. We lived in Arizona for a while and made trips into New Mexico. I saw a lot of petroglyphs, and it seems that some of them I could read or I recognized, and that's what I'm introducing today here. And if you can go up here, this is my replication of a petroglyph in New Mexico, and it is the cycles of changing women, the life cycles, I should say. Now where I found this is in New Mexico. At the time there wasn't many people around anywhere a few years ago, and this one I found, it was a dry wash, a broad dry wash, and it had a huge boulder kind of coming out of the side of the hill there, and the front was flat, almost just like a wall, and this petroglyph was engraved on it. There wasn't anything around the area. I could see up the washaway that looked like there were some kind of small adobe ruins. I didn't go to check them out. And I've replicated this accurately, and I've put the colors in. I know what the right colors are. And the spacing is, I've brought the things in a little bit closer than they are on the rock. Otherwise, it's quite accurate here. And it is the life cycles of changing women. And to introduce that, to start, we'll start with what the story is that goes to that. So if you can go here and see this. This is my watercolor of the mountain, which is the birthplace for changing woman in this ancient Navajo myth here. And this is called Coyote Peak. It means spruce, spruce hill, spruce mountain, that sort of thing. And it's also referred to as Chuush Yide, meaning in the beginning. So in the beginning, what we have here, you see, this is a horny toad. His name is Rockshirt. So Mr. and Mrs. Rockshirt live somewhere near this mountain. They could see it here. And what they were viewing on this mountain on this occasion was a lot of atmospheric turbulence going on over the mountain. Some kind of weather was going on there like that. So come the next day, Rockshirt, he made about 1, 2, 3, 4 different tries to get up there and see what was up there, and finally he made it. And what he found up there was something very supernatural, and that was, there was a baby, and this baby was in a supernatural cradle board. That is, the cradle board was made of clouds and rainbows, things like that. It's definitely supernatural. But he was able to bring her back home to his hogan, to his house here. And that kind of began the story. The first person who appeared was actually Yebeche. Yebeche is the maternal grandfather, English calls him, talking God, because he goes, ho, 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 ho. And he came and he recognized her as, a divine person. So that's what starts the story. Now we'll go up here to what I've replicated. And here, this is the baby. And here, as the baby, she is, turquoise girl. And turquoise, being very precious, like that. And above her, she comes to be called White Bead Girl. And then there's a little bit episodes that go on with White Bead Girl. And most interesting on the rock is this has been etched into the rock very exactly. This is the mountain, Spruce Hill, where the turbulence is going on. and the engraver here did very good in showing that. In the next picture, we have an evolution now of her from babyhood into womanhood. So this is changing woman now as a woman. And she's wearing a manta. This is a woven piece, and the Navajos wore this sometime in the past. I don't think so anymore, but the Pueblo people, women, do on occasions wear something like this. And then you go up here and you see her head. Her head is, we got little horns on it. This means that she's an insect. She's an insect in the sense to say that this event happened in the third world. The third world was when the insects appeared in the Navajo theme. In the geological scheme, 300 million years ago was when insects appeared. So the third world, and what's called the Permian age, also has where the insects are. And below her chin there is a cross. This cross is the voice of the cicada. The cicada makes that noise, and so the cicada would also, be an insect of immense antiquity here. And Wunishi is the cicada is the insect here. And here, what she's holding in her hand, this is a spruce branch. It's called chu'u, is spruce branch, and it's called, the frond of life. And up on top of it, I have little specks of red there. These are pieces of rainbow. Rainbow was blown into pieces by winter thunder. And that began, the ceremony for restoration. I would say, it seemed to me that most of the ceremonies, chantways, are for restoration, restore to wholeness here. And then here, this image on her manta is suggesting what we call a swastika. That name itself is from India, swastika, something good luck. But here it is the symbol of winter thunder, which is evidently when all this is going on. So the chant for winter thunder is Dona, Dona, Dona. Hear the voice above, the voice within the clouds. Again and again he sounds. Dona, Dona, Dona. Hear the voice below, the voice of grasshopper girl. Again and again she sounds. Dona, Dona, Dona. Beautifies our land, the voice that beautifies our land. Oh, so that's the way it goes. And here she's wearing, this is a shash, like a shash, sislichi. And here at the end, these two balls, these are her handmaidens. They're also called the follower pair here. And if you go all the way over there, I have replicated them, and they are, of the sunset and dawn, meaning one follows the other. And these seem to be a minor cultus in the Navajo. These are small leather masks that I've replicated. They don't wear them, but they exist. Somebody keeps them in their house. So that's who they are here. And then going back up here you see she has pet snakes. I would say generally goddesses, are equipped with snakes. And the way that they're arranged is called a traveling sign. It's a traveling sign. And where she travels to, she's leaving Arizona and she goes all the way over to the Pacific Ocean there, and there's an island there, Santa Cruz there. And here, in her third appearance, she's a matron. She's a matron, it's like, she's going from childhood to womanhood to her later age. and she's known as abalone woman. And the abalone is also given autumn colors. It means variegated because she's in the autumn of her life. And here you see this mask here is also to say that she's outside of the Lashini. Lashini meaning woman, in the blackness of her body. The English word black does not render the feminine qualities that is meant, in this case. So the blackness I've rendered here in this way. And you go up there to the side of her, you see now the snakes are in this shape, and you see this square up there. This, is actually the house of white shell. So here, where she is on the island of Santa Cruz, she also has a name, I don't recall it, but she's also becomes the mother of the Chumash people over there. And here, her house of white shell is being figured this way because she comes out to each door, she appears to somebody there, and this also becomes the beginning or the foundation of the Navajo clans here. And then down here we have, this is Grasshopper Girl. It's being rendered in this way. And she is the principal factor of parthenogenesis. She's metamorphosis, germinator, and the recessive double of changing woman. Atad Nahaki is her Navajo name. So she's very, very significant in this whole life reality of womanhood that is, totally personified. Where this is located, as best I could reckon, is somewhat south of this mountain, but it is in western New Mexico. The Navajos were assaulted by the United States and its army, and that they were forced to march all the way over to Bosque Redondo in New Mexico, where they were kept, somewhat like prisoners of war for about 4 years there. And then the government released them, allowed them to return, and they had to make their way back. At that point, if you can focus in right here, this is meant to stand for the medicine man called a coyote, a female coyote. And he put a white bead in her mouth. And so she turned around and around and around and around. And then she headed out back to Dinata, to the Navajo country whence that they had been removed. And the people followed her back to their homeland. And here, just to show here, this is a Navajo carving. This is Yabiche, the maternal grandfather. He's, like the chief of all the immortals, the spirits, and so forth. And he's the first one that comes to see now the birth of the baby, changing woman, turquoise girl, or white bead girl. So he's very, very significant. He wears a headdress of 12 eagle tail feathers here. And the piece that Claudia had just read her poem, she illustrates with this painting here. Can you see that painting? And this is my votive painting of Changing Woman in the form of crystal. In Cherokee, the crystal is paramount. So it all seems very significant to me. And this is, a mountain earth bundle from Dockwitz up here in Idlewild, there. And this is the rock crystal. So that's why I'm introducing this. Now, we have friends, Navajo friends that lived in Monument Valley here. And they dressed Claudia up, and if you go here, here's Claudia, and they have dressed her up as Atsa Yokai, meaning white shell woman, which is the sister, she is the sister of changing woman here. So this is a picture of her out there in that region of Monument Valley, and she's holding a basket. That basket is like this basket, but this is the basket actually they gave her. Now the people I'm saying they is Lynn and Lonnie Yazi. And Lynn's father is a Hatali. A Hatali means literally chanter. They don't have a shaman. The chanter is the one who conducts these ceremonies we are calling chantways. And they are all for restoration, and in them sand paintings are made, and the gay are the supernaturals, people wearing masks that make appearances here, all for restoring to wholeness. And so people give the Hatali, certain payments, and that would be the source of this basket. This basket is actually have a name. The Americans, for some reason, call it a wedding basket. I don't know why, but it's actually, the basket is actually the rock crystal star basket, and that's what you see here. This is a rock crystal star, and that's because the people, when they had arrived there in Arizona, they were camped down at the foot of the mountains, kind of a diagonal mountains in Arizona called Chusca, and they saw, like you would say, like a comet or a shooting star, very bright, come over them and seemingly land on the top of that mountain. So the next day when they went up there, they found that it was a huge crystal. And so they drew a sacred line, perimeter around it. And then seemingly they arranged to have somebody stay there like month after month and put some rock or monument around it. And that's kind of like, let's say, it commemorates, that time and that event there. Here, this is my replication of a sand painting of Grasshopper Girl. She's, quite beautiful. She's also called Maiden in the Grass here. And up here, I have also I've replicated a sand painting. This is Naha'ata, meaning Earth Woman. You can see the plants around her and like that. And here, this is a corn. Corn is life, nada. And so it's, like a votive symbol for corn right there. And I should go over here and take a look at this. This is, I've replicated, this is a Navajo rendering of the cicada. This very, very important ancient insect here. Yeah. And speaking of Hatalis, you can go all the way over here. These are called talking prayer sticks. These are actually a property of the Hatali. They're made of little spires of agate, and they have eyes and nose and mouth, put in them miraculously. And I've mounted it in a yarn version of this rock crystal star basket. The cotton balls are offerings. They're called offerings. And then I've surmounted here. This is a feather, and this feather is to stand for the magic or supernatural feather that was given to the two sons of Changing Woman for their guidance. And their guidance, they're on a journey to the bearer of the sun, as all Navajos are. And so that stands for that. And here I used this image here. This is not official. but it certainly is the appearance of an elegant, I would say rather regal, Navajo woman, and I'm using this here as an image for a changing woman. And they can, here you look at this marvelous Navajo-made doll here with all her finery, so she could very well stand for that also. Now we have to make a little new introduction here. And what I'm showing here, this is a book. The book title is Navajo Tibetan Sacred Wisdom, called The Circle of the Spirit. And it's authored by Peter Gold, and it is published by Inner Traditions in Rochester, Vermont, if anybody's interested in this. Vivian and I, were frequenting a bookstore there on Fillmore Street in San Francisco where I found this book. It must have been pretty close to when it was published, 1994. And it is really remarkable scholarship here. The author, Peter Gold here, has brought the Navajo cultural realities and cosmos and the Tibetan realities and cosmos braided together. That's the way I would kind of give you an idea, braided together into a very comprehensive English piece of literature here, using the languages of both the Tibetans and the Navajos here. His idea, as he shows a little map here, is that each of these people are different parts of the earth, but they are both at the same altitude, a plateau, and they are at the same latitude, he says exactly, and nearly the same longitude. And that seems to be what he's attributing what their likeness is. So he shows, back and forth, back and forth. This is the way the Tibetans do it, or say it, or picture it, and this is the way the Navajos do it, or picture it, and so forth. So it's very, very complete, comprehensive in that way. Now a little bit of what I'm always introducing here is that the people that the Americans coming from Europe have called Indians, or American Indians, and very recently we get Native Americans, and their general idea, which seems to be pretty cemented in, is that all these people came from Mongolia over the Bering Straits. Maybe some did, although there's no evidence for that. People have come here from different parts of the world on boats. It seems to be the only way you can get here. And so I've been presenting people coming from the Mediterranean to Mexico and to the Southwest, among others. In this case, I'm saying the people that the Americans called Navajo and Apaches, these are European names, actually. They have come not across the Atlantic, but they have come from Asia across the Pacific. And I'm just kind of putting it very simply. It seems that the name Navajo, there's different early spellings of it, it's come from the Spanish. It seems to be rendered as keepers of the field. In other words, these people were agriculturalists. They had orchards, fruit orchards, and things like that. And so their name is usually Dene, just meaning people. More formally, Nahoka Dene, meaning earth surface people. Their relatives from which they have stemmed all the way over into Central Asia. Afghanistan is like up in the mountains. If you drop on the east side, drop down the mountains, the Khyber Pass, you come into a huge depression called the Tarim Basin. And on the very east side of that is where the Himalayas come down. You kind of taper off there, and on that slope there is a place, a very ancient noted place called Coyote, and that's where these people called Navajo stem from, and they are known there by the name of Na-Dene. And they also make rugs, woven rugs. I have one from there. So, and that their language is known to be basically Turkestanic. On the west side of the Tarim Basin, stemming from the side of Afghanistan to Turkestan, Uzbekistan, and so forth, these people, the Americans, are calling the Apache. These are actually the Turkomon, and they have different groups, and they have come over, all these people have come over here on Chinese ships. And these Chinese ships in the 14th or 15th century were carrying on a trade with Western Mexico. Mainly, the one I know is tobacco. In other words, the Chinese were importing tobacco from Mexico. So that seems to be the way that these people have traveled from that part of the world over to here. Now, the language has different names. The language in that part of the world is called, Ural, Finno-Ugric, Samoyed, even Permian, the same name for the ancient geological age. Not the same meaning, but they're using the same name. Means it's connected to the ancient country of Russia. And here, from there, I'm going to show this is a horse. And what I have here, we just put up some Tibetan prayer flags. The prayer flags are called wind horses here. And this one I have here was one that's left over from the former string of flags here. And here, this is a Tibetan dorje. A Tibetan dorje means diamond scepter. And one of the things that correlates is, I had shown you Yebeche, or talking god. In Tibetan, he's called Dorje Sema, meaning diamond being. So it has the same name, and this horse. And with this, I'm going to read a Navajo piece that I like very much. I am changing woman's son. On top of belted mountain, beautiful horses, slim like a weasel. My horse has a hoof like steeped agate. His fetlock is like fine eagle feathers. His legs are like quick lightning. My horse's body is like an eagle-feathered arrow. My horse has a tail like a trailing black cloud. I put flexible, soft goods on my horse's back. The holy wind blows through his mane. His mane is made of rainbows. My horse's ears are made of round corn. My horse's eyes are made of stars. My horse's head is made of mixed waters. My horse's teeth are made of white shell. The long rainbow in his mouth for a bridle, with it I guide him. When my horse neighs, different colored horses follow. When my horse neighs, different colored sheep follow. I am wealthy from my horse. Before me, peaceful. Behind me, peaceful. Under me, peaceful. Over me, peaceful. Around me, peaceful. Peaceful voice when he neighs. I am everlasting and peaceful. I stand for my horse. As from the War God's horse song. So with that, I'm introducing this pottery, this Navajo pottery. It's most interesting, this pottery, which would be in the category of American Indian, pottery. Nobody else makes pots like this. But reportedly, archaeology has found somebody in the world that does make them. It's an area actually east of the country of Turkey, also called the Pontic Caspian, meaning south of the Caspian Sea. I haven't seen pictures, I'm only reading a report that is saying the pottery is the same as Navajo, only one exception. The temper in it is sand in that eastern place. But here the Navajo, for temper, use ground out pot shards from the ancient Anasazi, because they feel that puts something, some kind of substance into the pottery. So the main difference is that these are small pieces. They also made ones that are very, very large here, and I kind of made a culture of this. Now I'm going to mention a lot of people have read the books of Tony Hillerman, which are very good in showing people something about the Navajo world here. And a character that appears in his book is called McGinnis. McGinnis is the proprietor of a trade store called Short Mountain. It's on the west side of the reservation, kind of near Atuba City. And McGinnis, is pictured as quite a character who drinks his whiskey or hard liquor out of an old Coca-Cola glass. And he has these conferences with Longhorn, the main character. Well, that is modeled on an actual person. You go over to the east side of the reservation. I think it's Highway 86, following out of Flagstaff. That kind of goes a bit north and east there towards the Little Colorado River. And on the west side of the highway, it's very hard to see it. I mean, to realize what it is, because it's not fancy or adorned at all, is the Shadow Mountain trading post. And it has no paved parking lot, he said, because he didn't want tourist buses to stop there. But the man who actually lives there is Bill Beaver. And he is the main person, starting I think 1940, who took an interest in Navajo pottery and began to encourage it. And in his store there, it has made no attempts at anything fancy. It's as plain can be, with board shelves that are sagging with pots on them. And Bill Beaver himself is this stocky man wearing total coveralls and a very long ponytail. At the same time, his daughter was there. Evidently, her mother is Navajo, and she was telling me that he wants to retire and wants her to take over the trading post, and she didn't at that point quite know how she was going to do that. So the connection here is the Navajo pottery. And I had asked him, with all these pots, I said, so who's the oldest potter you have? And he gave me this one right here. It said, this is by Rose Williams. She's been making pots since 1950 here. And so, and her daughters also, I have one of her daughters' pots, Lorraine Williams. So that seems kind of special to me, that one there. Most of the potters are women, and traditionally at least, people making Navajo pottery, meaning Navajos, were at very restricted, very stringent requirements. Certainly that the woman has to be alone or even secret like that. You would think that they were Byzantine monks, making holy pictures. So very, very strict. They each have their own personal place of where they get the clay from. This one here is by a man, and I don't know if there was any men making them beforehand, but this is by Jimmy Wilson. and it's a very early one of his. He started about, late 1970s. He's the first one to make incisions. So it incisive with kind of a zigzag here. So, and he developed this, continued to develop into something more in relief and something more non-traditional. He learned his clay making from this woman. That is the woman who made this, is Fei Tso. Fei Tso. They are both of the same clan, the Nakai Deni clan. And this is certainly a very early piece of hers. Later she developed this into something, really more fine. And she may be the first one to use, like something in relief or applique here. And this one here, this is very, very traditional. So seemingly the ones found over there in the east of Turkey would be reportedly something like this. And these always have this band around them. It's very, very characteristic. All of these here have been brushed with what you call pine, like some kind of pine pitch. And that's what gives them such a rich luster to them. This one probably also, but being outside, it has washed off or dissolved. These are also used for the drum. In other words, they stretch a skin over this and they put a little bit of water down here, and so that gets to be a very special piece. But it is a good idea of a traditional looking Navajo pot, albeit even small. And over here I added this one. This is also a Navajo clay squirrel that Claudia found there in Flagstaff. And I put it together with that image of Changing Woman. In Cherokee, the squirrel stands for continuance. So that's why I have her here together for the continuance of all this. And I think that with that you can come back around here and hope to have a view of Native America that is different than the ones that the American Europeans had made up for themselves about who we are and how it is that we are here. And what I presented here is just a little bit of things that I know about it. This is not anywhere near a complete speech or lecture on the culture of the Natanier. So, aho.
Aho.